Yeah, good evening. You're welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3 Pest Trade Academy. My name is Dele Ayimibo. We'll continue from where we left off in the morning. And in the morning, we're basically discussing promotion, entering export market, specifically market entry strategy. But this evening, we are going to be continuing on that, left up on that tangent, and we'll be discussing something a bit different. But still on getting buyers, we are spending a lot of time, a lot of effort trying to educate our listeners on the dynamics of getting buyers in international trade. So, we are discussing export market entry strategy. There are a number of strategies for market entry and development available to a company that seeks to internationalize. These include exporting, establishing sales subsidiary abroad, licensing, and establishing a production subsidiary abroad. Joint venture may also be used to establish a subsidiary and production facilities abroad. Though an approach beginning with exporting, progressing to open a sales subsidiary, and finally establishing a production facility is common, any given company may start with any of the three strategies. Number one, exporting. Number two, setting up a sales subsidiary. And number three, eventually establishing in the export market and bringing back to the capital, bringing home to the capital purchasing power from all over the world. Some firms use different strategy for different markets, only exporting on licensing to some smaller market while establishing a subsidiary and production facility in larger market. So, depending on the market you are looking at, and depending on how big the organization in question is, that significantly affects how you are going to approach the market. Look at the three options we have looked at now. Number one is direct export. Number two is exporting through to a sales subsidiary. This subsidiary can be a branch, it can be a sister company, it can be a rep. But there's a subsidiary, there's someone you're working in there. Number three is to set up a company at the destination. That for me that's bullish. Set up the company at the destination. There are Nigerian businesses in Africa that do a lot of that. Setting up a company at destination. Setting up a company at destination. Setting up a company at destination. An essential first step in planning and strategy development for entry into export market is the company need to assess its readiness to enter foreign market. Any firm, regardless of its size and experience, must determine just how ready is it to make that move. How ready are you to make the move? How ready are you to make the move? There are a lot of options available for you on how you can get into the market. But the question is, how ready are you to make the move? You know, sometimes in order to assess the market, there are different software which are decision-making tools that can be used to assist in determining or judging a company readiness for export market. Although these types of software are not exactly the same, they cover the major areas like checking up the competitive capabilities in the domestic market, motivation for going international, and I will dwell a bit on that. What is your motivation for going international? If your motivation is to make money, you will not last. If the motivation for going international is simply to make money, it will not last. If the motivation for going international is to create value, if the motivation for going international is to create value, if the motivation is to achieve some other objectives, for example, a lot of importers in Nigeria are exporting not because they don't have, not because they are looking for market as it were, But a number of them are actually looking for a way of generating foreign exchange. If your motivation for going global, for internationalizing is just because of profit, I'm very sorry. You might be disappointed. I'm very sorry. You might be disappointed if the objective is solely to make profit. I am of the opinion that you should do business based on other ideals beyond just making money. I am of the opinion that you should do business for other ideals beyond just making money. So if your only objective is just because you want to make money, you know the challenge you will face? Immediately, the market does not look promising the way you are expecting. Do you know what you do? You will run away from that market. You run away from that market. Why are you running away? Because of the reason why you are going into that market. And I'm of the opinion that your goal should go beyond profit making. Think of other reasons to keep you going when you are not getting the initial profit you are expecting. Think of other reasons to keep moving when you are not getting the initial profit you are expecting. If you don't find those other reasons, you can get easily disappointed. What is your motivation for going international? For us at 3 Impacts, we want to create make information available to be able to grow export in Nigeria, but the ultimate objective is to create jobs. We have the opinion that if Nigeria can take export a little bit serious, we might be able to create those jobs. If Nigeria can take export a little bit serious, we might be able to create those jobs. The challenge is that we are not taking it very serious. Why? The government is not seeing it as a potential avenue to create jobs. The government has other important things to him, and that is not making the government to look at this side right now. But we are hoping that the government will do something about it. Because if we are going to be able to create jobs, one of the very viable way of considering increasing that job is mainly through exportation. Mainly through exportation. So it's so important for us to consider export as a major driver for us in creating jobs. So I'm saying you should have other reasons, other ideals driving your desire to go global. What is your motivation? There is need for commitment of owners and top management. Do you know the reason why a number of export business fail? Sometimes the owners are not committed. When there are money to be spent for promotion in the export market, the owners, the drivers, the promoters are not very committed. Sometimes it's like the import or export manager is just doing his own. He was hired to do the job, but in the real sense of the word, the owner of the business are not looking, they're not keen on export. If the management is not keen on export, sincerely, you don't expect so much in terms of feedback from them, support from them, funding from them. Then, product readiness for the export market. Product readiness for the export market. This is another area that some people fail. How ready is your product for that market? Readiness will be seen in the way the product is packaged. Readiness will be seen in the way the product is labeled. Readiness in the seen in the way the product is in the material used for production of the package. Readiness will be seen in quality specification. Readiness will be seen in nutritional information. How ready is the product for the market? How ready is the product for the market? How ready is the product for the market? Some people come into the market to want to sell, but I'm sorry to say, sometimes their products are really not ready for that market. Because there are still some adjustments that need to be made on the product for the product to become ready for the export market. If those adjustments are neglected, that might spell doom. If those adjustments are neglected, that might spell doom for that transaction. How ready are you for the export market? How ready are you for the export market and your product? Another very vital thing is skill, knowledge, and resources. Skill, knowledge, and resources. You know, to cover the skill gap, the knowledge gap that is in Nigeria for trade, we partner with the American Institute of Extended Studies to run about 8 trade certifications in Nigeria. We have certified basic trade professional, certified intermediate trade professional, certified advanced trade professional. We also have certificate in trade customer service. We have certified specialists in trade finance. We have certified international trade broker. We have executive diploma in export business management. And lastly, executive diploma in export trade finance. So we have 8 certification programs in conjunction with the American Institute of Extended Study. 3 Impest Trade Center is the center of that American Institute in Nigeria. They are the one issuing the certificate, moderating the program. We facilitate locally and also conduct the exam. The result is released from the US right on the website, student portal on the school website. All these have been put together by American Institute of Extended Studies in conjunction with 3 Impest Trade Academy to drive knowledge, increase in knowledge of trade in Africa, so that we can cover the skill gap, so that we can cover the knowledge gap. Skill gap, knowledge gap. A business in international trade that is doing it without adequate knowledge is sitting on the keg of gunpowder. Any business in international trade that is doing the business without any effort to learn and understand the business is sitting on the keg of gunpowder. Why? Do you know that international trade is so dynamic? The rules keep changing because of the changing times. And because you are trading with people that are progressive, even if Africa, Nigeria refuse to make amends where necessary, especially as the landscape of business is changing, you know what? These people are going to make their own progress. They keep changing the rules. They keep changing the rules. They keep changing the rules. Why? Because of the changing business environment. Because of the changing business environment. Because of that changing rule, if you are now going to be in international trade, you must learn to be up to date, so that when the rule change, you can know how it affects your business. When the rule change, you can know how it affects your business. You know, for a number of businesses, they have issues in the course of doing the business before they go for training. You know, it's so important. It's so important. It's so important. It's so important because when I hear some very odd, bad stories of how people are losing money in international trade, both on the import and export, it's very painful. It's very painful because the people are losing money ignorantly on issues they could have avoided. So one of the critical things you must know in your export market entry strategy is to gather all the information you can gather to be able to know which of the strategies is the most important for you to explore. And this is very important. Very important. It's very important because if you neglect this like others have neglected it in the past, that may become a challenge for you. And that's why I mentioned those certification programs that I talked about. You can call the number 009-124-4449, 009-124-4449, and you'll be able to have access to my colleague that is handling some of these training programs and can educate you more on which of them will be most appropriate for you, especially if you are thinking of export. The next one is experience and training. The next one is experience and training. The next one is experience and training. Experience and training. Competitive capabilities, motivation for going global, commitment of owners and top management, product readiness for foreign market, skill, knowledge and resources, experience and training are all major areas that must be taken care of as you think of going into the market. Now, when you are going into export market, there are export market barriers. When you are going into export market, be mindful of export market barriers. There are barriers to entry for you in the export market. There are barriers to entry for you in the export market. There are barriers to entry for you in the export market. There are barriers to entry for you in the export market. There are internal controllable barriers. There are foreign non-uncontrollable barriers. There are internal controllable barriers and there are foreign uncontrollable barriers. Some of the internal controllable barriers include communication with foreign units. Communication with foreign unit. This happens a lot in big organizations, such that being able to communicate with the unit that is supposed to be handling export for the company. You are a marketer and an export manager. You have to deal with your colleague that is working for the company to help the company grow that particular space. They are the one handling the logistics. Communication with your colleagues. This will happen more in big organization. This will happen more in big organization. Lack of export training and experience. Remember, we are talking about barrier to entering the export market. Lack of export training and barriers. Lack of export training, rather. Lack of export training is another very major challenge. Lack of export training is another major barrier. Someone said there is no mountain anywhere. Every man's ignorance is his own mountain. That's why I strongly believe that ignorance is a gift. It keeps everybody humble, such that at the end of the day, we will be forced to learn from each other. Ignorance is a gift. It keeps everybody humble so that we can all learn from each other. So what I don't know, you know. What you don't know, I know. So what happens? We depend on each other. Ignorance is a gift. Lack of export training. Lack of market information. One thing you must learn to do as you think of export is getting export market information. One thing you must make sure you do as you think of export is getting export market information. Getting export market information. Getting export market information. You need to do a research on this, but these are internal controllable barriers. You can buy market research online. If you can't get to buy, go get the knowledge. If you do our diploma program, you will learn how to do market research, export market research. If you do our diploma program, you can get to learn and know how to do export market research. Export market research. Controlling international activities. Controlling, that's the activity that the company is doing for the sole purpose of exporting. International activities, that's logistics activities. Documentation requirement. Documentation requirement. And transportation and packaging. Transportation and packaging. Providing support services abroad. Providing support service abroad. Mitigating the higher risk. Mitigating the higher risk of export business activity or export market. Mitigating the higher risk in the export market. Mitigating the higher risk in the export market. Obviously, export market have higher risk than local market, but these are internal controllable market entry barrier. Let's look at some of the external uncontrollable export foreign market barrier. Number one, foreign government attitude. Foreign government attitude. Some government abroad, they are not very kind at all. They are not kind at all. They are not kind at all. Foreign government are not kind at all. They make life difficult for anybody coming to enter that country. Even though they might not even have the product enough or enough to even satisfy the market. They protect their market. They protect their market. Foreign public attitude. So look at two attitude barrier. Foreign government attitude, which we deal with licenses, taxes and the like, tariffs and the like, duties and the like. Then foreign public attitude. That is the buyer, the attitude they have towards your product. Maybe because of the country it's coming from or because of the nature of the product. Trade barriers. Trade barriers. In form of quota. In form of license. Trade barrier. Trade barriers. Then other issues that are internal also that I forgot to mention are financing issue and of course assistance from home government. Now, these are barriers. I'll go through all the barriers again. So you know that these are barriers you must plan and face and overcome in able to enter into an export market. And I'll be rounding off with this today. So tomorrow I'll be discussing overcoming the export market barrier. That's what I'll be discussing tomorrow. I'll be spending the whole of tomorrow discussing how to overcome the export market barrier. I'll be spending the whole of tomorrow discussing how to overcome the export market barrier. What are the barriers again? Number one, communication with your foreign unit, which is internal. Lack of training and skill, which is internal. Lack of market information is an internal problem. Controlling international activity is an internal problem. Foreign documentation requirement is an internal problem. Arranging transportation and packaging is an internal problem. Providing after-sales services is an internal problem. Mitigating export market risk is an internal problem. Financing issue is an internal problem. For no assistance from financing foreign issue. Sorry. Now, those are internal problems. Now, local problem that is not internal, but it's local. Local. And you don't have control over it. Getting finance from your from banks and getting support of your government. Getting finance from bank, and those two are major challenge in Nigeria. These are local uncontrollable dimension. You know, we have the foreign uncontrollable dimension, we have local uncontrollable dimension, then we have internal controllable dimension. I've mentioned the internal controllable dimension. I'll mention the internal controllable dimension again: transportation and logistics, after-sales services, mitigating export risk, documentation requirement, controlling international activities, lack of market information, lack of export training and communication within the company with the unit in terms of export. But here are the foreign uncontrollable dimension: foreign government attitude, trade barriers, and foreign public attitude. But the financing, the local controllable dimension, financing issue and local government support. In Nigeria, we have those two problems. Financing issue number one, local government support. Government have an agency that try to support, but they are incapacitated with funds. So I will still say the federal government need to do more in supporting export in Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening to me again today. My name is Dela Imba, and this is Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3 Best Trade Academy. Remember, this video are live on YouTube. You can, from the YouTube, you can share with your friends. You can share with your friends. You can subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the like button so we know you love the video. Drop your comment and click on the notification bell so you know whenever we upload a new video. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Dela Yemibo. See you tomorrow morning and bye for now.